Ms Legalista here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm starting out with my glasses on so that I don't have to fumble with those. We are going to be talking about the nursing scam. Now, you guys probably heard about this a while back, but there were recently some charges that came down. We're going to take a look at what the Department of Justice has to say about this, because this was all bad given so many people that were impacted by this.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I am Omar Perez Aybar, the Special Agent in charge of the Office of Inspector General for Health and Human Services. And today's announcement is the culmination of a deliberately measured investigation, aptly named Operation Nightingale, where it involved nursing schools in Florida selling fraudulent diplomas and transcripts across the country.
DOJ website. First of all, let me say this, because sometimes you don't even know if you're going to a real government website or if it's a scam website. Like, if you're going to impersonate someone, why impersonate the Department of Justice? But you have those entities out there that actually think some of these things are a good idea. So first, before I actually get into fraudulent nursing diploma scheme leads to, I want to just let you know that, hey, look, they've got a new design going on. It says here, welcome to the new look of justice.gov. In the coming months, you'll see more pages in this new design. Please share your feedback. Typically, this is what I tell people. Look for this little teeny flag, and it says an official website of the United States government. You can even click on here's how you know, and there's even more information there, because I want you guys to be on the right website. So we're over here at the North Carolina, you guys can tell where I am, right? The United States Attorney's Office, Southern District of Florida. And it says here, this was a press release that came out in January. So yeah, I'm going a little ways back here because I want to bring you up to speed. And we're actually going to have some separate videos about the actual charges. But I want to give you an overview with this. Fraudulent nursing diploma scheme leads to federal charges against 25 defendants. You guys, when have you ever seen 25 people be able to come together to really pull something off and have it go so well that, you know, you've even got the Department of Justice looking at you? You think about it. When you get ready to throw like the family cookout, you're still trying to figure out who's bringing the cornbread and who's not bringing the macaroni and cheese. They had 25 defendants here. This was a whole scheme that they had put together. But let me go back and get back into what I'm really supposed to be talking about here. All right, so these fraudulent charges, 25 defendants for immediate release. Okay, this is out of Florida. Miami, more than 24 individuals. What did I just say? More than 24 individuals have been charged in the Southern District of Florida for their alleged participation in a wire fraud scheme that created an illegal licensing and employment shortcut for aspiring nurses. Now, understand this first part. These were people who were just looking to get some education so that they could get a job, so that they could have a better life for themselves. These people were aspiring nurses. According to 3 recently unsealed indictments returned by a South Florida federal grand jury and 2 informations filed by federal prosecutors, defendants engaged in a scheme to sell fraudulent nursing degree diplomas and transcripts obtained from accredited Florida-based nursing schools to individuals seeking licenses and jobs as registered nurses and licensed practical or vocational nurses. So, yeah, it sounds like some of these people knew exactly what maybe they were getting into. Possibly. We'll see as this moves forward. The bogus diplomas and transcripts qualified purchasers to sit for the National Nursing Board exam, and after passing it, to obtain licenses and jobs in various states as RNs and LPN/VNs. The overall scheme involved the distribution of more than 7,600 fake nursing diplomas issued by 3 South Florida-based nursing schools: Siena College in Broward County, Palm Beach School of Nursing in Palm Beach County, and Sacred Heart International Institute in Broward County. These schools are now closed. Each defendant faces up to 20 years in prison. You guys, one of the biggest concerns I think that people had, and yes, there was something that was just flying by, is that nursing is not one of these vocations where if you get something wrong, you can just fix it and everything will be okay. So if, I am a housekeeper, or if I'm a gardener, and I'm not putting any of these professions down, I'm just saying that there is a certain degree of education that you want people to have if they're going to be taking care of your health, okay? There's a real concern here that there may have been nurses who were not adequately prepared to be nurses. This next section says, and this is from the U.S. Attorney, not only is this a public safety concern, it also tarnishes the reputation of nurses who actually complete the demanding clinical and coursework required to obtain their professional licenses and employment, said U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, who added that a fraud scheme like this erodes public trust in our healthcare system. Well, to be honest, I think maybe there was already some concern about our healthcare system. Once you take a look at what's going on with the opioid epidemic, the cost of medical care, the access of medical care. So I think people already have some concerns about that. This is very different because this was set up to be fraud and the participants knew that. So I think people would look at this as something that's a little different. Healthcare fraud is nothing new to South Florida, as many scammers see this as a way to earn easy, though illegal, money. I don't know that I had ever heard of somebody going through the whole shebang. I mean, think about that for a second. The whole shebang of putting together a whole school, a certificate program. You've got to have someone teaching these courses, or maybe not, or at least you have a website with some information on there about teachers' credentials. There's got to be some recruitment going on. So this is not some sort of easy fraud. This is an elaborate scheme that takes more. It's going to take more than one person to put together. So I don't see this as easy. I think a lot of people would look at this and say there are easier ways for me to commit fraud and get money than putting together a whole school. Yeah. I think this is very elaborate, and I think it takes a lot to get something like this done. All right, let me go back here. What is disturbing about this investigation is that there are over 7,600 people around the country with fraudulent nursing credentials who are potentially in critical healthcare roles treating patients. Exactly. I think that's the biggest concern that people had. Like, aside from the fraud, it just brings me back to Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos. Just, you have people who are putting their lives in your hands, and you may not have the skills necessary to be able to carry out the role that you've been hired for. Were it not for the diligence and hard work of the investigators on this case, the extent of this fraud may not have been discovered. The charges speak to the purpose of a nursing license is to protect the public from harm by setting minimum qualifications and competencies. The alleged selling and purchasing of nursing diplomas and transcripts to willing, sounds like they knew, but unqualified individuals is a crime that potentially endangers the health and safety of patients and insults the honorable profession of nursing. Yes, it does. In coordination with our law enforcement officers, this is the Health and Human Services, continues to aggressively investigate bad actors who so brazenly disregard the well-being of others in order to enrich themselves fraudulently. Exactly. They were willing to just, I'm not going to worry about whether or not they actually know what they're doing. I'm just going to give them this piece of paper, send them out there, and I don't care after that. That is what it sounds like, all in the name of getting some money. The charging documents describe Siena College as a Broward County school licensed by the Florida Commission for Independent Education in Florida Board of Nursing that offers a practical nursing program and an RN to Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, think about what they had to jump through to become a school licensed by the Florida Commission for Independent Education and the Florida Board of Nursing. Like, this is not something easy to do. You've got to show you're this school and you've got to meet a bunch of criteria. The indictment charges defendants, we've got the defendants listed here, with conspiring to commit and committing wire fraud. The indictment alleges that another person solicited and recruited individuals who sought nursing credentials to gain employment as an RN or LPN/VN. So they were recruiting people who wanted to be nurses. It says it is alleged that these defendants arranged with Sanan, one of the participants here, who managed Siena College and is charged by information with wire fraud conspiracy to create and distribute false and fraudulent diplomas and transcripts. These fake documents represented that the aspiring RN and LPN/VM candidates had attended the college's nursing program and completed the necessary courses and clinicals to obtain these diplomas. In fact, the aspiring nurses never completed the necessary courses and clinicals. Now, this brings up another piece too, because I could easily sit here and say, oh, well, these nurses were taken advantage of. Maybe they didn't know what they were getting into. But we're going to get into some documents and see. We're going to find out exactly what was going on here and determine whether or not, we really think that these aspiring nurses knew that they weren't, checking all the boxes and everything. Did they know? Did they not know? Yeah. And again, that would then be on them, because you would have to say to yourself, I didn't do everything I was supposed to do to get that diploma or that certificate. And yet I'm going to go out here in the world and get this job where here's the question. I don't understand how you couldn't go to work every day not being concerned that you were going to do something really wrong that might hurt someone. I would be scared to death that I'm going to make the wrong decision because I don't really know, because I didn't really take the class, because I didn't really do the clinicals. I would be worried all the time. So I don't know. We're going to figure out what was going on. Maybe some of these nurses did not know. Maybe they were told one thing and maybe it was a pure bait and switch. I don't know. We're going to have to see exactly what went on. We've heard some things, but we're going to have to check it out. The information against Sanan alleges that he and others sold thousands of fake Siena College nursing diplomas and educational transcripts. So see, these people knew possibly if whether or not you took that course, right? According to charging documents, Palm Beach School of Nursing's objectives was to prepare students to meet Florida's licensing and Nordburst nursing board requirements. Sorry, you guys, to become eligible to take the national licensing exam in order to work as registered nurses. So then you have these parties here who were associated with that school. And then you have the people down here who were school employees. It says it is alleged that these recruiter defendants then arranged with the owner and school employees listed here to create and distribute false and fraudulent diplomas and transcripts, representing that the candidates had attended this nursing and had completed what they were supposed to complete. And it says, in fact, that aspiring nurses never completed the necessary courses and clinicals. Again, you would know if you were a nurse and you got one of these, whether or not you had completed it or not. And then we go down to the Broward County School. Again, same thing, licensed by the Florida Board of Nursing. Like I said before, you got some hoops to jump through for that. All right, and then we've got access to the documents. And I'm going to bring those up in a different video. But here's the other thing I want to talk about now, because now there's this possibility that if you're a nurse, you lose your job. You possibly might not now be able to get into a program where you can actually get your license, because you may then have to jump through some hoops for that board, and they get ready to review your application and they see something that says, have you ever been whatever? And there are now all these questions. And then you have medical care facilities that know about this and will be doubling down to make sure that people that they hire have the proper credentials. And so you're now tainted by your association with this. I say this because I've been talking about some other people who in the past have done some things, specifically, and I can't even think of his name now. Now I want to talk about my glasses too. Billy McFarland, associated with Fire Festival. He has all of this restitution that he needs to pay. I think it's like 27 million or something like that. All of this restitution that he needs to pay. He's been doing a lot of things to try to get some money and get himself back out there. I've had a number of people say in the comments, dude, just get a job. Here's the problem. How many employers now want to hire him and put them on the list of employees, or bring them into the company or be associated with him? There are a number of employees that say, yeah, we believe in second chances, but not just with us, because we got a reputation and a brand. And we believe that so many people were hurt by this that they would chastise us. They would be ready to cancel us if we took him in and gave him a second chance. Like, they don't see second chances when they're still trying to get over the harm. It's sort of like, you know what, I'm still processing the harm, especially if you were a victim of it and you lost a whole lot of money and you haven't gotten that money back yet. And you went through a whole lot and had to suffer because of what this other person did. You may be still processing that. So your concern is that, dude, just get a job, pay me back, pay us all back. And yet there are some employers that may not want to do that. So he may be in this position where he has to hustle and do things outside of the traditional get a job environment. And this is something that could be a problem for some of these nurses also. But we'll see how this goes. I hope that sort of brings you up to speed on what was going on. I know you had heard a lot about that. We heard a lot about it a while back, but now it looks like they've been charged. These cases are going to be proceeding forward. I'm going to take a look at the individual documents for the different schools, and we're going to break it down and talk about the details of what happened. So don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned, and peace.